I was actually, what was I doing yesterday? It was this morning. I was in the shower and I was like, man, how much money would I donate to Johnson's campaign if I was a builder in Northwest Indiana? I would be like, here's the money, man. Because so like anytime you said anytime you give a slowdown, all of a sudden Chicago does something stupid and it's got to be great for business.
It is. It's you see a lot of people coming down here for that reason, for taxes or for just crime. Crime's a big one.
Yeah.
That they come down there and I guess when Johnson, if he gets elected or when he got elected, it helped a lot.
What's the 5 Ps? Do you remember it?
Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
There you go. It doesn't matter how much money we get. If we don't close, it's no money, right? So no close is no money. I'm everything that I am because of my dad's death. And I wouldn't be as successful without his death. Hey, welcome to the Jason Theory, Season 2, Episode 12. And I'm super excited to be joined by Mr. Smith, a longtime friend. I went to college with his brother, Matt Money Smith. I'll throw him a shout out. Pseudo celeb in Southern California. Yes. I won't give him full celebrity.
No, don't. Please don't.
And I'm excited. We're going to talk about the Indiana market, how Chicago has been so kind to Northwest Indiana builders and really putting some good money in your pocket and where things are going. A couple questions. We're going to talk about it. People always talk about, do I make that jump from Chicago to Northwest Indiana? So I'm excited. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your company, how you got started, and then let's get right into it.
Sure. My name's Brandon Smith. Homebuilder, Northwest Indiana is actually my dad's company. The company's Homes of Distinction. Been building now for probably a little over 10 years. Didn't start out in it after college. I went to IU, actually moved to LA to live with my brother, thinking that I'd be in LA for, 6 months to a year. Ended up staying out there for close to 6-7 years, but I was in tech. So after college, got a tech job out there, jumped around, ended up at a really good job in LA, but then realized there's no way I'm going to be able to afford LA if I'm going to stay out here. Decided to move back. Still worked in tech for a few years, but then just kind of got tired of the corporate world and sitting behind a desk. And so, my dad had a home building company. He wasn't doing it at the time, but I thought, I grew up with it. I kind of knew it. I had a business degree from IU. Might as well, try it out. So I did, and I started slow, and from there it kind of grew, and it grew into a what I think is a pretty successful home building company today, and still going strong.
Was your dad involved when you shifted from tech to home building? Was your dad involved in terms of like showing you the ropes, this, that, or this, or was it more of yourself?
Yeah, I would say on the business side of things, I kind of took my own approach. He's just, he didn't have much business experience. He kind of ran his company, ran it well. But yeah, he taught me some stuff along the road about building, about the construction. So I took that. He helped me out. And he's still around today. He's still on the job site talking to the guys. I still use some of the same guys that he did. So it's kind of cool to see him around, still having conversations with the guys. And so, yeah, he's always given me great advice, especially on like the kind of the people side of things, not the business side. It's always like, make sure that, you're treating people well. That it's customer first. It's not money first. And so I took that to heart, even in like the financing side of things, like with the bank. He's like, always make sure you go into the bank. Like if you have to make a deposit, go in the bank. Don't do it online. Don't go to the teller. Like make sure they can see your face because you're going to need to ask them for money one day. And if they know you and know your face, know your name, they're going to be like, hey, that's Brandon. I know him. He comes in. He's a great guy.
That's a great one.
Yeah. And so like, let's sit down. Let's talk. Because it's true. Building homes, it costs a lot of money. You're going to need money. Very few builders can do it on their own with their own cash. And so that did help out. So I formed a really good relationship with a lender that I still use today. And, I kind of, think back on that. And what my dad said is like, make sure that, you're going in and you're showing face and you're talking to these people and it will help you out.
For people that are always thinking about transitioning, everybody, I think people think it's so glorious becoming a developer and building homes. They don't realize what you're dealing with on a daily basis. And you said that you brought a different facet to the business, with your degree and your education. What things did you bring and what did you change from like someone that didn't have your background?
Yeah, a lot of the builders, when I was starting out and even today, they were like carpenters, they were framers, they worked in the trades, and then they decide, you know what, I'm sick of working for somebody else, I can do it better, so let me be a builder. I
Just
kind of
as a side note, those are all my developers right now.
There you go.
Every single one. And they're terrible business people.
There you go. And so I brought more of the, and I came from a tech background, which in the building industry, even today, I mean, some of the stuff they put out there, it's just, it's not what I was used to with tech and with business. So I kind of brought a lot of the tech into it. I brought a lot of just what I would feel that I felt like this is how I would run a business, even though it was a construction business. I grew up with it. It was like, this is how I would run it, no matter what business it was. And so I think that was a little bit different, where I kind of came in.
Can you point to one thing that you did that you were like, I can't believe? Because it's the same thing in real estate. Like when I came into real estate, I was like, no one has websites.
Yeah, I mean,
they're like, well, what do you think that's going to do?
Yeah,
like,
very little websites, very little, email communication. And so like we kind of started with, what can we do small? Let's build a website. Let's put our product out there. Up to this point today, where we're seeing it more, but like we use a construction management software that I don't think a lot of builders do. And so when we bring people in to sell them our home, we show them that. That's one of the biggest things we show them, is like, you're going to be part of this process from day one all the way till closing. They have access to it. It's on your phone. It's an app. They can follow along the construction schedule. They can follow along with,
because that's a huge. People are always like, "When's this? When's this?"
Exactly,
and that frees time up for you.
It does. It's huge.
A ton.
And yeah. So we have project managers on site taking pictures, uploading to the app.
Oh, it's awesome.
We're building a house right now for a couple that live in Wisconsin, so they can't be down here all the time. And they came down a couple weeks ago just to do a walkthrough, and they told me, they're like, the app is unbelievable. It's like, I'm sitting there, I can see what's going on. I know exactly what the schedule is. So stuff like that helped out, and I kind of started to do that when I came in, to see like what could I utilize with tech that would help me, like you said, like, free up my time.
It's freeing your time. That's what technology should do.
And it's nice to just, be off of like, are you going to text me? Are you going to email me? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? It's like, it's one stop. It's like, this is where you can communicate, and it's great. So I brought a lot of that with, but yeah, I mean, I would think the tech is probably the biggest thing that I kind of brought with me.
How hard is it once you got involved with developing to deal with the subcontractors? I know you had some of your dad's people, but from being an agent and being very close to my developers, hand in hand, picking finishes, doing this, I'm like, I'm at construction sites way too much, to tell you the truth. It's always, well, this sub didn't come in, or this sub didn't come in, or this happened, or subs just walking out on a job. You owe me 20% more.
Exactly.
Right. Just picked up a job that's going to be fivefold of that 20%.
Yep.
And then trying to find somebody to pick up that 20. Buyers don't understand, like, when there's delays, you're paying the juice.
Exactly.
No one wants to hold on to a fucking loan.
No.
I want more interest payments,
exactly.
Please.
And
everybody wants to get to the finish line. How do you, like, was that a shock? Like,
it was, like, and the amount of, like, babysitting almost of the subcontractors. I mean, there's so many people that work in a home. It's not just,
I would think that would be the biggest, like, where your dad understood that. Like, when you walk in and you're like, oh, okay, so everyone's a 3-year-old.
Exactly. And the other thing that helped with my dad was doing it, he actually had guys working for him. It wasn't as expensive as it is today. So, like, he had a crew that would start with him and then almost finish the house, that would do every single sort of, like, framing to trim.
So was he hourly? There were oh, so there was people that did multiple trades.
Exactly.
So now it's
you
not
can't.
that.
It's impossible. Like, you couldn't afford it. I mean, I couldn't afford to have a crew that did all that with insurance, with everything like that. So, I mean, that's why a lot of developers now and builders, they have to subcontract a lot of things out, because you just can't afford to have that on staff. It'd be great because you could say, you're just going to stay here and you're going to do this, until the project's finished, but it just doesn't work out.
You have to be a big time guy to have.
Oh yeah. I mean, there are bigger builders that
there's a couple builders here that have crews, but I mean, they're, they're pumping out 50, 60, 70 homes.
Exactly.
100 million a year.
Yeah. So luckily I've had some guys that stuck around, and, if you keep them busy, they're happy.
Yeah.
They're going to show up, they're going to work. You pay them on time or whatever, they're happy. But there's always guys that are like, hey, this guy's going to give me a little bit more, I'm going to go over there. And then you're stuck. You're going to be like, now what do I do? Like, I got to find someone else. You don't know what the quality of work they do. So that does make it hard. But overall, I mean, I've been pretty lucky with my subcontractors that, they stuck around. They know that I'm going to keep them busy. They know they're going to get paid. So it's like, why leave?
How was it during COVID, talking about subcontractors, and when, like, half the people were making more money just sitting at home, and then all of a sudden all this workforce just disappears?
It was tough.
And there's COVID, 5 guys that triple their take because there's no one else.
Yeah. I mean, COVID was tough, both on the subcontractor. I mean, COVID was the worst for me most builders, developers, with material. Material
Yeah.
prices killed us. But yeah, subcontractors were tough. It was hard to find some. Good luck getting them to show up. If they did, good luck getting them to finish. So yeah, it was tough on COVID with subcontractors, but I would say COVID, the hardest part, at least for me, was the material increase. And that's what, we didn't know what these increases were going to be. We thought they'd be minimal, and they turned out to be just insane.
So how did you deal with basically selling a house and knowing, okay, you're going to get, one of the first thing you're doing is you're pouring the foundation, then you start framing. So at least the wood, which went it was $1,400. It was crazy. At least the wood, you got a little bit early because you weren't getting caught, but that material.
Yeah, the lumber was the biggest issue.
Lumber was
It was nuts. It was just for example, lumber is the most boring thing to watch for pricing for futures forever. It would just be a steady line. And then COVID hit, and we're like, well, it's not going to go up too much. It can't. It never has, in the future of it or the history of it. And so you'd bid a house, you'd say this is the cost of the house, and all of a sudden you start seeing lumber go up, and you're like, okay, well, it'll take a little bit of a hit. And then it just went insane.
Yeah.
To a point where I took losses on a house just because.
That's what I would think.
Yeah. And so we didn't have any sort of escalation clause in our contracts or anything because you never had to really. Material prices kind of stayed, pretty much the same throughout. But once the lumber prices, I would have lumber for the same house year over year, one lumber bill would be $25,000. The next year was $95,000, and you're like, well, how do you can't recoup that? You can't go to the buyer and be like, hey, I need $70,000 more just because the lumber went up. So we took a hit pretty big on a few homes where basically just whatever built them for nothing. But then we got smart, sat down, said, all right, let's update our contract, put escalation clauses in here,
a rebid process.
Yeah. So if anything went above a certain percentage, we'd be on the hook for some, but then you would be on the hook for some if you're the buyer. Most buyers would, that's the one thing in the contract that they'd sit down and be like, hey, explain this to me. How does this work? What's going to happen? But they got it.
They got it.
Yeah.
Everyone was in the same boat.
It was. And so the lumber really hit us hard. But, it took us a few houses to figure that out. And then we figured it out. And the other thing, too, with it is that it cost us so much in that that's why some of the home prices went up so high and stayed that high. That's why we're still selling them. Just we're trying to recoup that cost that we lost. So.
And you also have incredible demand in Northwest Indiana.
Exactly. But yeah. COVID, I would say the material was the biggest hit. Subcontractors kind of, but yeah, material.
What did you learn in that year and a half of chaos that you will take forward with you? Obviously the contract changed, but is there anything else that you learned from COVID? You were like, okay, I never really even thought of that, and now.
Yeah, there was a lot. Just watching pricing, rebidding, getting out to the guys and saying where I never had to go to the guys and be like, can you reprice this? Can you do this? Can you do that? With their price. And now it's almost quarterly where I'm like, all right, guys, let's sit down. Let's go through the houses. Let's go through the prices. Let's see where we're at. Has anything saved? Anything going up? Just so that I can forecast better. Just because the prices just stayed the same for so long that you got so used to it. There'd be times where I wouldn't even throw a bid out there to people. I'd just be like, yeah, I know what it's going to cost. This is what it's going to cost. Here's the price. And I'd be pretty close to it. There's no way I would do that ever again. People come in and they're like, we want to build this house. Here's the print. Or even off my own print. I'd be like, I have to, let me bid it out again for you so that we know exactly where we're at before we even start.
Yeah. You don't want to make any mistakes like that.
No.
And my developers that have had the hardest time or have just fallen the wayside, it's all the bidding process. It's all the bidding process. And, some electricians and some masons and some framers would throw a bid out. And when that price increase happened, they just wouldn't do the job. They wouldn't honor the bid.
No, for
and
sure.
They're like, fuck you, come after me.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I can't.
Yeah. And a lot of
you're not going to sue. You're not going to sue a framer.
No, exactly. No, what are you going to do? And then the other thing too, the customer never realizes this is all coming back to the builder. All these subs are going, it's more. Now I'm supposed to be like, all right, let me just start paying you guys more. And it's no. So you had to go after the subs a little bit to be like, listen, guys, we're all in this together. We're all trying to make money and, trying to put a product out there. So it's a give and take.
Because at some point it's not going to be like that, and you're going to want a job.
Exactly.
And I'm going to remember X, Y, Z.
Exactly.
So
yeah, that was another big thing too, is actually just the communication between the builder, the developer, and the subs. It got much better because of COVID. And it's just that open communication now of guys, you got to let me know ahead of time if you see any material going up, let me know, because we have to adjust our schedule that way too.
Do you do have you ever gotten into spec, or you do pretty much? So what do you like more? Do you like the spec more where no one talks to you and you just,
Well, so yeah, I mean, and that's another.
What's the delivery hold on. What's the delivery spread between spec and custom? How many months quicker can you build a spec?
Yeah, I mean, spec, I would say on the same house, if it was a customer and a spec, I'm probably I'm probably 3 months to 4 months faster on a spec, just because I'm making the decisions.
That's so much nicer.
Yeah, it's great.
Do you do any spec where you list before you're done, so there's some customization, or is the demand so intense that you don't have to do that?
A little bit of both. We'll put a spec out there, like proposed construction.
Okay.
Where we'll market it as, come on in, pick your finishes. You know, these are the finishes that you can pick. This is what you can do. I would say those don't sell as well, just because people need to see something. But we'll have a model that they can walk through. But it's so hard to like walk someone through a model and say, this is kind of what it'll look like. This is the same finishes. So the proposed constructions don't do as well as you'd like them to do. So what we do is on a spec, start the construction, frame it up, probably get it to drywall, and then start marketing it. So people can actually like come through, feel the space.
You got to get it through drywall.
Yeah. People can't visualize it.
No, and no one has any spatial recognition. So it's like if it's framed and they can see through the frame, they're like, I just don't get it.
Which I forget all the time. I mean, I walk people through and I'm like, what do you mean you can't? Like, this is the great room. This is the kitchen. They're like, I just can't see it.
Yeah. I've noticed for my people that I work with that we get higher prices when it's done and staged, and you can control your costs. Because no matter what you do, someone goes in to pick finishes. They're like, "Oh, I don't like that. I want this. Can I go to this place?"
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden, the tile that they pick is some that they pay for, but now you need a specialty machine. Your tile guy who's used to doing X, Y, and Z, I can't do this. Chips the tile. You have to rebuy. Like, it's just a fucking Pandora's box.
It is. Opening it up to the customer, it's horrible. And we try and like steer them away from, I'm going to go to this place, I'm going to go to that place. Like, no, just go to the place we use. We get the best prices, whatever, for that reason. But then you give them option A, B, and C, and they go out and they're like, oh, no, I don't like any of those. I want that.
It's always that.
Yeah. And so
no one ever picks A, B, and C.
Nope, never. And that's why, I mean, if I could do specs all day long, I would. And nothing against my customers, but it's a pain dealing with them. It's a lot of hand holding. And it should be. It's the biggest purchase of their life. But it's like, it's a relationship that you're with this person for a year, and it's nonstop. And no matter what they choose, you're going to put it in. And a lot of times they're going to be like, nah, I don't like the way it looks.
So as the builder on a custom house, do you not use an agent like as a buffer, or is it you?
Most of the time it's me.
Dude, you got to change that.
Yeah.
You got to fucking change that.
I mean, it's not.
You need a buffer.
Like, I mean, we have people in the office that kind of that help that out. And actually, it's funny. We were talking about this. I was reading somewhere. There's like a new position out there called the concierge for a home builder, and so like they're basically
that's a real estate agent with a fancy name.
Pay them less though. So it's like you sit there and you're the person that the customer calls, and that.
I mean, even if you put that person on salary.
Yeah.
I mean, but. Dude, you don't want to be on site with those people.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of time, I mean, we've done both ways. So
because they're always going to be like, I want this. And they look at you.
Exactly.
And you're going to be like, oh.
We'll see if it works out.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times I've found, though, that the questions that, unless you get like a seasoned real estate agent that knows new construction, which they're out there. There's plenty of them out there. A lot of those questions come back to us anyway. So it's kind of like, I'll just deal with it.
Man, I'll have like when I met the guy that I'm actually going to meet at 1:30 today to look at a project, and we just put a couple things on the market. The first time we started working together, he would come, and I'd be like, dude, what are you doing here? And he's like, well, I'm here to answer questions. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I go, because you're going to lose $20,000 to $30,000 being here.
No, it happens.
Because unless you have that, like, no, which is really hard to do.
It's tough to have
really
that no.
tough to do, because these people are spending that much money. I'm like, dude, you can't be here.
Yeah. Yeah. It is true. That no is tough, especially when you're face to face.
It's tough.
It is hard. Yeah. It's hard
like,
to do.
I'm like, I'll tell my guys, come at the end when everything's done.
Yep.
Like negotiations and this and this. Then you come and you can explain, we're going to do this is what we're doing here. But until that time comes, man, don't get involved.
Yeah. No.
Because I can't, like, if I'm there and you're there and the buyer looks at you, I mean, and I've done it. I literally, before he opens his mouth, I'm like, this. But I can also build a house.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to be there. Like,
exactly.
So it's different.
It is.
But man, that's tough to be there.
Yeah, I mean, we try to. Yeah, I try and stay.
It's
out
great.
Of it. Yeah, but I mean,
tough.
it's you get it both ways. You do get people that appreciate the fact that the builder's there, that they're like, oh, it's nice that you're here. All the questions that I ask, you can answer it. But yeah, no, I mean, having that buffer is important. And we do sometimes. We do have people that, in the office that'll deal with the sales and or not the sales, but like the, meeting them up for walkthroughs and stuff like that. Just so that it keeps me away from it.
Now, we talked before this started, and we were talking about just how crazy your market has gotten. As an example, my brother-in-law, Tony, went from Glenview to Dyer. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's happier than a pig in shit. Yeah. I mean, he loves it there. Loves it there. Cost of living, the people, authentic, non-pretentious, walking to your car and not worrying about getting pistol whipped. I think that was the number one thing.
I could see that, yeah.
And he's just amazed about it. And the one thing he said was, it's just like, it's an absolute game changer in terms of affordability.
Yeah, it is.
And, same Rosebud, same dealership, same Starbucks, just everything is just more, it's just there's more value from top to bottom.
No, there is. And I think once the people realize that there is that in Indiana, Northwest Indiana, then they'll realize, okay, that this is a place I can live. Because so many times, like, we would go out, like my wife and I, and people are like, well, where do you live? Like, she grew up in Palatine. We lived in the city. We decided to move to Indiana from the city. I grew up in Northwest Indiana. And people are like shocked. They're like, what do you mean you moved to Indiana? Like, do you live on a farm? Do you have running water? Like, is there an outhouse? They're like, no, dude, like, I can get to my house faster than you get to Naperville from the city.
Yeah.
Like, it's right there. Like, everything, everything's good. Now, I mean, we don't have all the restaurants, all the, retail and stuff like that, but it's coming. And really, if there's anything that we're missing, we're 30 minutes from the city. We're 45 minutes from anywhere that we need to be that we're missing out there. And it's getting better. I mean, with more people moving in and asking for that kind of, commercial retail and restaurants and stuff like that, it's getting better. And things are like Rosebud just came into Munster.
I think it's like Bucktown. It's like, if you move to Bucktown now, it's a lot different in price than it was before the retail. When the retail comes, you've missed the discount, right? Because that's the last, all right, here we come.
Exactly.
But it's so interesting you say that, like when you went out and people said, oh, you're in Indiana, how the conversation is so changed. When I'm sitting at a table and someone says I live in Northwest Indiana, I will tell you, if I'm at a table with 10 people, 8 people are jealous.
That's
I'm
good.
not lying. The whole conversation has changed.
That's good.
And it's more of like, I don't have the balls to do it.
Yeah.
Like that's like, I want to, we're talking about it, but we just can't uproot and do it.
Yeah. And I could see that. I mean, it is a big change. It's a culture change, but I mean, once you're there, you realize we have, everything's.
I don't think it's a culture change. Just like you're getting out of your new friends, this and this. I mean, you're 50 years old. You have 2 friends. That's all you need.
Right? You don't need anymore.
You don't need anymore. No. There's no time for any more friends.
No, there isn't. No. But yeah, I mean, it's a great place. I mean, the biggest thing too right now is the South Shore line. So that's our metro.
Yes.
Runs east-west right now. So you can go from Chicago to South Bend. And what they're doing now is they're extending it south. And so now you'll be able to go from Chicago to Hammond and then Hammond south to Munster, basically. So that's huge. I mean, for people that still want to come to the city, still work in the city, you're going to be able to hop on the train, get here in no time.
What is that? How long is that commute?
I want to say it's under an hour. It's like 45 to 50
So it's like
minutes.
going to Lake Forest.
Exactly. So it's going to be quick. I know they're going to
or Naperville.
Exactly. So
that's going to change a lot.
It is. And I think it's going to create Northwest Indiana. It's going to make it that true suburb of like where people would say, oh, I got to move from the city to a certain western suburb because it's close to the metro to get to the city, stuff like that. So I think it will help out in that regard where people really look at it going, okay, that's a good option. Now I could live down there. I could get back to the city. I can go to a Bears game. I can go downtown for dinner or whatever on the train, go to the museums and be back home. Don't have to drive.
I mean, it was an hour. They went to the Fire game on Wednesday and it was an hour drive from Bucktown to the stadium.
Yeah.
So it'd be the same from there.
Yep.
And this is like 4 miles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think that's big. That's probably one of the biggest things.
I think for people that have second homes in Michigan, how nice would that be? Mm-hmm. You're halfway there, so you can go to work in the morning at the city, and everyone. I mean, what do people do? 3 days now in the office.
3 days in the office.
3 days in the office. So like you're doing your 3 days there, and then okay, let's just take to our house up in whatever it is in
Yeah,
Michigan.
exactly.
I don't know. I'm not a Michigan house person,
Yeah.
but everyone seems to be there every weekend.
Yeah.
So you're right there.
Yeah, no, it's a great option. So I mean, you know, it's like anything. Some people are worried that it's going to bring crime or, you know, something like that. And most people are happy about it. They like to see the fact that the train's coming because it will make it a great option for people.
Everybody has guns by you.
Exactly.
There's going to be no crime.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too, like
it's called peace by arms.
Exactly. And the other, like I always said too, is like criminals aren't on a schedule. Like they're like the train's going to bring crime. So like there's no one hopping on like the 7:15 going south to be like, let's go rob these people so I can make it back on the 9:30.
Yeah.
You know?
When's the express rob train?
Exactly. Like, it doesn't happen. Like the criminals aren't. Crime's going to whatever. But yeah, and it's Indiana, so I think a lot of people are coming.
No one's going to Indiana to rob people.
No, they know. Yeah,
everyone's armed.
exactly.
They're going to come here.
Exactly. That's why they're here.
That's why they're here. They're not stupid people.
Exactly.
Car robbers do not go to Amish towns.
No, they don't.
No, it's just not. That's not. It's not.
They're not
That's a
going to do
losing.
well.
That's a losing proposition. Oh my Lord! So housing prices in Northwest Indiana, I mean, we talked about that. It's like basically pick a number.
Exactly. Throw a number out there and you'll probably get it. And then you realize, man, that was a low number.
Low number.
Throw something higher. But yeah, it's crazy. You can't price it. I don't know. I don't know how to properly price it. Just the amount of people coming down, the popularity of it, it's been good and it's tough.
So when you say the amount of people coming down, what would you say is Chicago, suburbs, Chicago, that area, like this, you know, let's say this 30-mile radius that are coming down. When you meet these people, how many are from Chicago? And do they open up to you and say, hey, listen, this is why I'm moving?
Yeah, a lot of them.
If you're with them in this process, you guys become basically mini friends.
Exactly. I would say it all depends on where in Northwest Indiana. Like Munster, where I live, is literally the first stop off, you know, from Illinois. So a lot of people from Chicago came down to Munster, built quite a few homes in Munster for people from Chicago. As you go south, it's more people that are like, I want to move south away from these people that are moving from Illinois. So it's just, you know, it's kind of nice because you get the people from Illinois moving closer to me, so I could build for them, and then the people that want to move south from the Illinois people, you know, then I get to build for them. So it's a win-win for me. I would say,
and on that map, it goes Munster,
yeah,
Dyer,
so if you go,
and then what's the other one that's really nice? It's after Dyer, like 10
So if you go south, so if it's Munster, Dyer, St. John's really nice, and then Crown Point's really popular. The one thing about
my brother-in-law wouldn't go there because he's like, it's just too far from the highway.
Yeah,
he's like, it's an extra 20 minutes. He's like,
it's kind of in the middle.
Yeah, he didn't want to go that far. He liked it.
It's nice. It's super nice. It's got like that downtown square. You know, it has like the square with all the restaurants around the downtown, the old courthouse, which you find a lot in like the western burbs.
Yeah,
that's the one thing Northwest Indiana still needs some planning help with, is like creating a true downtown for each town. But Crown Point did that, and we go there for dinner all the time. It's a great community, you know, ton of housing there, ton of stuff to do. Munster's getting there. They're building a lot of commercial now with retail and restaurants. But yeah, St. John's growing, Dyer's growing, Crown Point's popular. If you go further south, like Cedar Lake and stuff like that, is where people are moving to get away from
the overpopulation. Like, hey, I want more land.
Exactly.
And people are going to get priced out, you know?
Yeah, no, they will.
I mean, so you find the next exit on the highway here. This is where we want to be.
Yeah, and I mean, even if people weren't really familiar with Northwest Indiana, they ended up in Munster quite a bit. Our schools are great. I mean, I think Munster is top 5 now that we just got, you know, rated at for state of Indiana, which is amazing. So, and it's so close to Chicago that they're like, this is the first stop. I'm not too far away. If I have family in Illinois or friends in Illinois, I can still, you know, go and visit them, and it's not too far. So Munster is a hot spot for people that, one, don't know much about Northwest Indiana, and are just kind of.
I mean, I know Naperville has like a really nice downtown, but I just don't get why people go to St. Charles, Naperville, or some other place where Jesus lost his shoes up in the boonies, and don't go to Indiana.
I don't know.
It doesn't make sense to me. Get away from the taxes. Get away from the stupidity of the government here, and you're closer. I don't get it.
I don't know. I mean, I do see. I don't know. I think it is that feel of like you're if you lived in the city, you go to Naperville, you go to, you know, any of these other like western burbs that have these really nice downtowns, you still get that feel. I think you can walk around.
It's nice, but
you're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nuts. Like our taxes are, you know, compared to where my wife grew up in Palatine, her parents still live in Palatine. I mean, they're half, you know, and it's just.
So like on $1 million, like when you build a house, what's the normal price point? Is it 700 to $1.2 million, 500?
Yeah, I mean, we're all over the place. We have developments that are entry level that, go from 300,000 to 400,000, and we go all the way up to $1 million.
What's the tax on $1 million house?
So Indiana, what's nice about Indiana, it is a cap state, so 1% property tax cap. And then so from that, you have different, each town will have different kind of referendums or something like that will increase that.
Oh, they'll add a little juice. So
Exactly.
1% goes to the state.
Exactly. So 1% cap. But yeah, I would say on $1 million house with exemptions, you're probably around like $7,000 or $8,000 for property taxes.
Jesus. Yeah, it's like 15,000, 16,000 here.
Yeah. So it's about half compared to like most suburbs of Illinois.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Do they do reassessments? Or or does it only change like Cali does on trades?
So yeah, so only on trades. They'll do a reassessment if for some reason you pull a permit and you're doing an addition or you're doing a finished basement and you pull a permit because that's what they look at.
Then no one pulls permits.
No, try not to.
It's this addition. I don't know.
Just showed up one
Just
day.
showed up. Ralph's building it.
Yeah, I don't know. Some guy showed up, built an addition, he walked away. We love it though.
So that's like. So let's just say you have $1 million house and that's an extra $8,000 pending rates. I'm talking about you're living 2 or 3 months for free.
Yeah. And it's not even property taxes that you gain. I mean, like we talked earlier, we had we were living in Bucktown and we sold our place, decided to go over to Indiana, and we were at daycare here in Bucktown and it was a mortgage payment every month. And so we went to Indiana and it was nothing. So it's little things like that, you cross that state line and you're getting a raise.
Now it's easier for you to move to Indiana because you were from there.
Yeah.
How did your wife, what was the conversation? Or was she like, let's do it?
No, she wasn't. And we did what everybody does. Like we were like, we want to kind of move
Pros
to the
and
city.
cons.
Yeah. We had our first child and we were like, we just need a yard. We need, we want to get out of our townhouse, that kind of thing. And so we looked everywhere. We looked at all the burbs. We looked, close to her parents, close to mine. And it was a tough sell because it's coming from the city. Palatine's got everything, and then Northwest Indiana was kind of, it's a nice community. It's got a little, here and there kind of stuff. But
And you've been there 10 years?
Yeah, close to 10 years now. And so I think it was just when we sat down, we found a lot that we absolutely loved in an older subdivision with mature trees and stuff like that. So that helped. It wasn't like a new development where, it's going to be 30 years.
And you could sell to your wife, you could have exactly what you want.
So
That's
we built,
the key.
we didn't buy, obviously we built. And so once we saw the lot, the subdivision, a lot of the people in our subdivision moved from the city. So it was easy to meet friends and stuff like that. And then when we just sat down and did the budget and the financing, it made sense. You're like going, here's Indiana, here's Illinois. I mean, this is the way to go.
Yeah.
And the thing too is we're like, if we hate it, sell the house and move. Like, all right, then go back to Illinois or whatever.
And that's what I always tell people. I'm like, it's like you're not chained to the place.
No. And it's so close. It's not like we're moving 6 hours away.
Yeah, you're
we're
not
literally
moving to
45
Georgia
minutes.
or
Exactly.
Kentucky.
Yeah, so it's like, hey, if we hate it here, we move. We're like, we can't stand Northwest Indiana. Like, let's get out of here. Then we'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, and you're building the house. You're going to make money on the house.
Exactly.
I mean,
and that's kind of why I
win-win.
bought the lot too. I was like, if we're not going to move here, I'll still build a house on it and I'll still sell it. And it'll do well. So it's like it's kind of a win-win for me.
How are you seeing most of your leads come in? Word of mouth, internet?
Yeah, most of ours are either referral, word of mouth. We're just seeing in a development that we're in, seeing our sign, seeing what our product goes up and they call.
And I know after this, we're going to have lunch and talk about marketing and Instagram and social media. Like you're seeing that social media start to really take its hold.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's getting out. And so what do you see in terms of how builders are using social media to get, obviously videos and stuff like that, but have you talked to other builders and say, hey, listen, it works? Are you getting feedback from those people?
Yeah, not so necessarily to other builders, but you can just see it now on Instagram, like builders that you'd follow or they've never even had a presence on social media, all of a sudden have a presence on social media. And I think a lot of it is not the actual builder doing it. It's probably, finding someone that has the ability to do it. This is like a kind of a degree that never even existed before.
Yeah.
And like all of a sudden now it's like social, you can do social media degree or whatever. And so I think builders are getting smart that's next generation that are going to be their customer are going to buy a house on their phone. It's not like they're not going to come to an open house. They're not going to go out and like drive around like we used to do and try and find that perfect location. They want to find something that's on their phone that looks cool that they can, look at right away.
Yeah. It's also very nice. I know you have the website, but I will tell you, it's a great resume.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's for me, the biggest feedback I always get is that when I have clients that want to refer me out, they're like, I just give them your Insta. He's like,
oh, nice.
Here's his Insta. He's talking on it 24/7. I'm like, this is everything that he does. You'll see what he sells. You see what he buys and this and that. So I think that's something that you're going to really enjoy is when you're at your place or you're at your house and say, this is how we do kitchens. Hey, I build this way. Most builders build this way.
Yep.
This is why I build this way. And this is what's great about it. You know, I'm this person. I'm a second generation. This was my father's.
Yep.
I mean, I think that's going to be a huge benefit for you in terms of getting yourself out to those people and as a referral.
Yeah, for sure.
Referral source.
Yeah. Because I mean, a lot of stuff, it doesn't really come in from the website. You know, they'd like to see the website, they'd like to see your product. But I don't even know if we've ever really, maybe a handful of houses came from like, oh, I was on your website, I saw your house, I really liked it. Let's talk. And so it's a lot of it's word of mouth. But yeah, I mean, now I think a lot of it comes from the social media.
It's crazy.
It's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever.
Are you going to be doing dances?
Oh, no, maybe. I don't know. If it sells a house, why not, right? I don't care. Let's get out there and dance.
What things do you see now that people want in that luxury market in Northwest Indiana in terms of features that are newer features that you guys never would have thought about doing 3-4 years ago? Like, where have you seen you're pushing luxury boundaries?
And that's also social media. So like our customers are like, hey, check this out, check this page out. This is what I like. One thing from COVID was like the office space. Obviously, we always try to put an office or it's like a flex room, we called it, that someone could work from home. Now people are asking for 2. Like, hey, we both need an office. So
I lose sales on that.
Yeah, exactly. I have too. Like if
they're like, we both work from home, and I'm like, well, somebody fucking work from the kitchen.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Work in the bedroom.
Make it work. I gotta sell this place.
So that was big. People, they want the 2 offices.
Do you put them on the first floor or you put them on the top floor?
Most time it's first floor. And we try and the way we kind of structure it is one up front. So like if you walk in the house, that
to like
first,
the right,
exactly,
that's like, the suburban way.
The flex. But like what we try and do is not stick it somewhere where they don't have any sort of natural light or they're looking out their backyard. So a lot of times we'll do one in the front and one in the back corner. And we've done floor plans where it even has like an outdoor covered area, and the people are like, oh, this is great. I can go out there with a cup of coffee, I got my laptop, and they still feel like, they're working, but they're kind of.
So multiple office spaces is huge.
That's huge. For a while, like 2 stories are still real big for us. I got the 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom, a lot of space upstairs. I would say the biggest thing though is like the finishes changed within the last few years. And so now I would say what everyone's kind of going after is that, I don't know if there's probably a term for it. I kind of call it like I don't know what you want to call it, IKEA or Nordic farmhouse or something, where it's just like, it's very light, like neutral tones.
You know what's great about that? It's cheap to build.
Yeah, it is.
There's no moldings. There's no heavy carpentry work.
There's not. Yeah, it's
clean.
It's clean. I mean, I don't know how many times people have come in now and they're just like, they're like, let's pick paint colors. Like, I just want white walls.
Yeah.
Like, all right, easy enough.
Do you guys, we're getting into it really big now, like the steps and the ceiling versus moldings. Like, have you seen the step?
Yep.
The step moldings?
Yeah.
That's almost like a throwback to like the 1800s.
It is. Well, we're seeing a lot of stuff that's coming back. I mean, that's how it is though. I mean, it's cyclical. So I mean, whatever.
That's why I don't change my clothes.
There you go.
I'm going to be in style at some point. At one point.
You will. But yeah, so we're seeing a lot. I mean, what's huge is just like the kind of complementary or contrasting tones, where it's like we have white cabinets and then the island's a different color.
Yeah, the two-tone.
The wood, you got white cabinets and then you got some beams going through.
Yeah.
Fireplaces took off again, where they just want these like decorative, surrounds and stuff like that. So we're seeing a lot more people asking for kind of more detail, but easy, like you said, like easy detail.
Yeah.
Not this like, oh my gosh, we got to do all this.
I need a 3-piece mold.
Exactly.
This,
no, it's just basic, easy stuff, and it looks cool.
Do you guys do a lot of radiant heat in the basement, or is that not big?
We've gotten asked for it a lot, and then once they see the price, they're like, no, then we don't need it.
It's not that bad.
It's price. I mean, it is kind of pricey.
What do they charge for like the system? Like to put it in, is it 10 to 15?
Yeah.
But it feels good.
It is nice. We do it a lot in like bathrooms, but it's not. It's almost like the electric underneath, like the mat underneath. Man. It is nice.
My basement feels like Mexico because it's not that heat that hits you in the eyes. It's just it's like you walk down and you're like, oh, I love it.
No, it's great.
I love radiant heat. It's almost a standard here.
Okay.
Like if you don't have it, people are like, it's weird if you don't have it.
We get
the standards are the steam, the radiant heat.
Yeah, we've done steam a lot.
And all the finishes that you're talking about, like it's not it's contemporary, but it has some warmth to it.
Yeah.
Like that's what people want. They don't want that stark like
No.
like IKEA sometimes or that Nordic gets like that blonde wood and it's like really stark. We did a house with a 9x12 green island.
Wow.
And the green people, I mean, greens, blues, do they get out?
Oh yeah, we've done blue. We've done like turquoise islands and like with a tile in the backsplash. We've done. We did one purple. So it's like whatever they want.
Purple
Cabinets.
purple cabinets.
Yeah.
Was it
lavender
nice?
or something? Like
No, lavender's cool.
Yeah,
lavender's cool.
But yeah, I mean,
not grimace
great.
purple.
It was what the customer wanted.
Yeah,
it was beautiful. It was
would you
great.
do it in a spec?
No. No.
We did that. We did that in specs.
Yeah, no. That's Chicago.
Yeah, it's
I'm in Indiana.
Yeah,
come on, that's gonna scare people. Can't
Gun
put colors
racks.
out there. Yeah. Camo's huge. Camo wallpaper.
Is it? No. Oh my god. Where do you see things going in the next 3 or 4 years out by you? I mean, obviously retail's coming in, exploding.
Yeah.
The South Shore line is going to be fantastic for you guys. I mean, do you see these turning into Naperville areas?
I do. The one thing that has not come through my area, at least, but I guarantee it will, is the buy and knock down and build. So that's like not popular.
That's not okay. There's just enough land, right?
Yeah, well, there's not though. That's where we're getting. So like Munster's like, there's very few lots left in Munster. Very few lots left.
Well, then it's coming.
That's what's coming. It's just not there yet. But I do see that. Like if the people still keep coming from Illinois to Indiana, that's going to be your only option. Like if you want to be in Munster, there's probably 20 lots left. That's it. And then after that, it's going to have to be
You're going to have to move somebody out.
Exactly. So I see that happening a lot because I just don't see people from the city or from Illinois moving so far south that they're so removed from this.
Do you ever think about buying? Like if I like a neighborhood, like I love this neighborhood up by Kilbourne Park, and I bought just a teeny little home as a land bank, and I have 2 girls that rent for me, and they cover the mortgage, a little bit of money here, but it just I want the dirt. Do you think people will start buying these homes to hold them?
I do.
That's a good business.
Yeah, and I see it happening once.
Like just knocking on people's door and saying like, "Hey, I'll give you."
People have been there for 60 years. Like,
here's
hey,
50 grand over
exactly.
land value.
They'll leave. Yeah, but I just don't like. It'd have to be someone that sees that vision in the future, because like the value, like you could buy the home, but their sale price of that, like if you bought a $200,000 house or $150,000 house, knock it down, and then try and build like an $800,000-$900,000 house in that area, it's not there yet.
Because the rest of the houses aren't there.
Yeah. So it just takes that first, couple people to do it.
What's the average lot size?
So in India, like most
Like
subdivisions,
50 by 200?
No, 90 is probably the
90.
Yeah,
Oh,
90
wow,
by
that's
150 is standard. In Munster, where I'm building, that we built a lot, it's 100 by 150. So bigger lots, ton of land.
What's that dirt run? 100 by 150.
That's
in a nice area.
Yeah, so it's starting like 150 and goes up from there. So there's a couple that are like 220 for the land.
That's not bad at all.
It's expensive for Indiana.
Is it?
Oh yeah. You go to St. John, you can get a lot for 70 grand.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, you get a massive home for under $1 million easily. $700,000-$800,000. You're talking 4,000, 5,000 square feet.
With $4,000 taxes.
Yeah. Why
Jesus. What are we doing wrong up here?
not? What are you doing wrong? I'm already in Indiana.
So we'll leave you on this. How happy were you? We talked about this, so we can just slam the mayor a little bit. How happy were you with Johnson? I was actually, what was I doing yesterday? It was this morning. I was in the shower, and I was like, man, how much money would I donate to Johnson's campaign if I was a builder in Northwest Indiana? I would be like, here's the money, man. Because, I mean, so like, anytime you give a slowdown, all of a sudden Chicago does something stupid, and it's got to be great for business.
It is. It's you see a lot of people coming down here for that reason, for taxes or for just crime. Crime's a big one.
Yeah.
That they come down there, and I guess when Johnson, if he gets elected or when he got elected, it helped a lot. People are just like, I'm tired of it. I think too, people, they don't know where the property taxes are going to go here. It's just like, it could be, today's going to be this, and then tomorrow's going to be massive.
I like that it's linked to that trade.
Yeah.
Because then you get actual value.
Yeah.
I have a building, and they doubled my taxes extremely bad. And I had bought the property that year that they doubled my taxes. They said a building was worth $2.2 million. I bought the building for 1.2. I hired an attorney, showed them the closing statement, showed them everything, and they should adjust it. And they literally said, well, your client's a real estate agent, so he didn't pay fair market value. And I'm like, dude, it was on the fucking market for like 200 days. And they have like they have like a 1.4 didn't get bought, a 1.3 didn't get bought, and a 1.2 is where I purchased it. On a 1.2 property, I took my taxes to $40,000. 40 grand. Yeah. Now, people don't understand is that's great. It's $40,000. You know who's going to pay that? My tenants.
Yeah, exactly. Price go up.
Yeah. And move somewhere else because there's nowhere else.
No. Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's and I don't see it ever fixing itself here.
No, according to him, we have a $538 million deficit.
Yeah. Just so stuff like that. It's like, all right, open the doors. We're going to get more people.
That's what I'm saying.
But that's the thing too. It's funny, and I don't want to get too political, but like these people that are coming down from Illinois, we try and like, I don't know how to explain or, politely tell them is like, you moved from Illinois for a reason to Indiana. Like, let's just
don't turn it.
Exactly.
But the people I know that are moving, they're people. They don't want to be here because of the politics.
Yeah.
So you're getting from the people that I've moved, you're getting the people you want.
Good. Yeah. So that's what we just don't want. We don't want it to turn into this.
Well, people got nervous in Texas.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, dude, you're moving here for a reason.
For a reason. Like, we were all fine. We were good.
Go back.
Just go back.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it's helped. It's helped. I mean, I know a lot of people talk about the crime, and with not living here anymore, you just do whatever the news says. I mean, I'm sure it's not as bad. Obviously, it's not good.
No, it's 4 times as bad.
There you go. So there.
You're only catching when something's on video. That's it. Everyone's like, oh, did you see that video? I'm like, dude, you see that video? I'm like, first off, it was behind my office. And I go, and second off, that's like weekly.
Oh, it's crazy seeing that. I mean, even like where we lived in Bucktown, it's just crazy seeing some of the stuff that's going on.
Man.
But we'll welcome it.
Yeah, exactly. I just can't. It's just great for business.
Yeah, it is.
Shitty for me.
There you go.
Yeah. All right, great, man. I really appreciate the time. Can you just give us someone that's looking for a fantastic builder in Northwest Indiana and wants more information, basically even just a little bit of hand-holding, the process, and a little bit about where you live in Munster. Do you just build Munster or you do Dyer too?
Northwest Indiana is kind of split up between 2 counties, Lake County and Porter County.
Okay.
Porter County is like Valparaiso, Chesterton, that area.
Oh, that's far.
Yeah. So we stick to...
I would call that, I'm sure it's not, but that to me, that's central. That's
not quite yet.
Yeah.
It's still Northwest Indiana. But so we're Lake County. So we're the Munster, Dyer, St. John, Crown Point, Cedar Lake. Areas like that.
And you service all those areas.
Yeah. So I kind of switched up our approach a few years ago where I would just build anywhere. If someone came into me and was like, I want to build a house in St. John, Munster, blah, blah, blah. And it just didn't work out. It was like, we're everywhere.
Yeah, it's too much.
Just too much. So now
when you get successful, you become hyper-local.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you get hyper-local, you get even more successful.
Yeah. So like now that's what we do. So we just concentrate on certain areas that have available land, available lots, promote those, build them. When we're done, we move on and go from there. So right now we're in Munster, Cedar Lake. We actually have a new development coming up in Hammond. That's we kind of do it as I kind of consider myself like semi-custom. So we're not, we don't do a lot of the, from start to finish, working with an architect and bringing people in.
Well, you don't want to work with an architect.
Yeah. And so like we kind of say, here's our plans. If you like any of them, great. We can make a few tweaks here and there. If not, we will sit down with, someone.
And you got like 4 or 5 different types of.
Exactly. So, but they can all pick their finishes and pick stuff like that. But it all depends on the way that we do it. Depends on the development. We have certain developments that are more entry level or more like move down. So we just give them, a certain amount of finishes to make the process easier for them. And they kind of, that works well because it's a huge process to go through the whole customization of a home. But if you can give them a few options that they still feel like, hey, this is going to be my home. You made it easy. The selections that I'm getting are like what's, in trend right now or whatever you want to say. They do enjoy that. So that's kind of how we felt that we've been more successful over the past couple of years. But obviously, if you're building $1 million home, they're going to expect a lot more. So we're kind of on both sides.
So where can they reach out to you? Website, whatever you want, how people can get a hold of you, fire away right now.
Yeah, so Homes of Distinction, website's hodbuilders.com. Easiest way is probably either email sales@hodbuilders.com. We're on Insta, Homes of Distinction. Any of those will work. You can even, if you own a phone, do 219-865-2307.
Who doesn't own a phone?
I don't know. I guess a landline is what I meant. Everyone has a cell phone.
Yeah.
But they'll be on Insta. They don't even know how to dial a phone. They don't talk to people anymore.
That's true.
They text and they...
All right. Thanks so much, Brandon. I appreciate your time. Everyone, this will be dropped in a couple weeks. Make sure to subscribe to Spotify, Buzzsprout. I mean, anywhere you find we're on, and we'll talk to you then. Be good and have a great fall, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.